Greetings everyone, we're heading back into the Archie Sonic comics with issue 6. As you can tell by this pun-filled cover, we're taking a look at a game tie-in. The first one for this series in fact, Sonic Spinball. The game in which the hedgehog is, well, a ball in Robotnik's pinball-esque base, the Veggie Fortress. It's also the only game that has characters from SatAM and the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons appear, mainly in the bonus areas. Well, let's see how this comic handles this game adaptation. Our story begins with the Freedom Fighters heading towards Robotnik to shut him down once and for all. I admire the team's courage, but they're going to have a heck of a fight with the 6 of them versus how many robots Robotnik throws at them. It doesn't matter since Robotnik's already shut himself down once and for all. Actually, he's left a note saying he's moved operations to Mount Mobius and you can't stop me, nya nya nya. Sonic speeds over to Mount Mobius despite the others telling him it's a trap. Sonic arrives at Mount Mobius, which has already been converted into the Veggie Fortress. We soon learn why Sonic should listen to his friends more often. Robotnik rigged the area like a pinball machine, with Sonic as the ball. Sonic soon gets it together and heads inside. He comes across Rexon, a robot dragon or serpent head that takes Sonic to another robot called Scorpius. Despite their intimidating look, they have glass jaws as Sonic spin dashes them to death. He moves on to the next area via freight car and passes by 2 escaped kangaroos named Hip and Hop. Seriously? Anyway, they warn Sonic about the upcoming Pharaons, which are these 4 purple robots here. Like Rexon and Scorpius, Sonic smashes them to bits. He hears cries for help, and thanks to a flipper boost, he winds up in a room with more Robotnik prisoners, bound for the Robot Maker. Before anything can be done, Sonic's attacked by a group of Audrey 2s? Luckily, he spots a hatch that'll take him straight to Robotnik. Or not. It's actually an ejection system made just for Sonic, and he's out of there. Thankfully, Tails arrives and catches him. Sally sends him to provide backup. Sonic says this isn't the last trip through the volcano. However, this is the end of the story. I'm not joking. The caption box here says to write for a continuation, but there wasn't one. After a 1-page gag story showing Antoine resorting to bribery to get fan mail, we move on to the second story and the reason I'm releasing this review today. We have an actual Christmas story in the main comic. In this case, it's a take on the Charles Dickens classic, A Christmas Carol, with Robotnik in the role of Ebenezer Scrooge, naturally, and Rotor in the role of Bob Cratchit. For simplicity's sake, I'll continue calling them by their real names. Anyway, Rotor wants Christmas off to spend time with his family. Robotnik won't have it. He wants to have his factory running at peak performance 24 hours a day so he can turn all living creatures into robots. Still, he relents, at the cost of Rotor having 1-minute lunches for the next decade. And that is generous for Robotnik. Rotor hightails it home before he ends up in the Robot Maker. That night at his home, Robotnik is watching some TV when the Jacob Marley equivalent arrives. Jacob Snarly. Snively says as punishment for helping Robotnik, he's been turned into a TV ghost, forced to watch things like infomercials. Oh, the horror. He warns Robotnik to change his evil ways, or he'll suffer the same fate. Plus, 3 spirits will show up tonight to help Robotnik with this decision. Robotnik seems not to care when he smashes his TV, but we later see him shaking underneath the covers. Soon, the first spirit arrives. Sonic with a backwards hat and a skateboard he used to escape from an insane gun truck. Actually, he's the spirit of Christmas past, and he takes Robotnik back to the first Christmas he celebrated with Uncle Chuck and Sonic. Everything seems fine and dandy until young Robotnik hijacks Uncle Chuck's tractor in order to run over the Christmas tree with present Robotnik cheering him on. Sonic doesn't give young Robotnik a chance due to him digging a ditch around the tree. Present Robotnik wants revenge for the act, but is denied his chance thanks to a setting change and a face full of Christmas mush. He encounters the spirit of Christmas present, aka Sonic wearing a package. They're viewing Rotor's family, his fellow freedom fighters, at dinner when a package arrives. It looks like a turkey, but as Robotnik admits, it's actually a bomb he sent to them, which will go off once the package is open. Sonic grabs the bomb before anyone opens it, and will slap a return to sender Sender label on it. As the Sonic of Christmas Present explains, Robotnik can do nothing to change it. What does change is again the setting, where Robotnik sees an older version of himself and meets the ghost of Christmas Future, again played by Sonic. He explains that years of destroying the planet in the name of his master plan caused him, and I quote, to become nothing but a broken piston, rusted out by greed and evil. Even the freedom fighters here have become old and tired of it all. In the end, Robotnik will have nothing left to rule. The Sonic of Christmas Future warns Robotnik that if he doesn't give up his evil ways, he will rule over a scrapyard of a planet. Robotnik considers it until he sees his older self catching the freedom fighters with a large robot and changes his mind. Don't worry, an elderly Sonic the Hedgehog arrives to save the day. Or not. It seems the theme of this issue is Sonic fails. In this case, it seems old age has severely diminished the Hedgehog's skills. All seems lost until a mailman arrives with a package, one that has a return to sender on it. Yeah, apparently Sonic sent back the turkey bomb via snail mail and has now just arrived. As old Robotnik opens it, present Robotnik runs to stop him, but it's too late. You'll never guess what happens next. The next scene takes place in a bedroom, but it's not Robotnik's, it's Sonic's bedroom. This whole thing has been a dream. Sort of. You'll see in a bit. Rotor wakes up Sonic because he's almost slept through Christmas and most of the story. Time for some fourth wall breaking as we see Sonic wishing all of us happy holidays while riding a Sonic shoe sleigh pulled by reindeer. The freedom fighters below are singing carols, and over to the right is Robotnik after receiving a face full of turkey bomb. Yeah, let's move on. For Archie Sonic's first foray into game tie-ins, it does an okay job. The point is to promote Sonic Spinball, and it needs to showcase what the readers, whom the higher-ups assume are also playing the games, will find in this one. Witness Sonic traveling through the deadly toxic caves, while trying to avoid being gnawed by Rexon. Plus, he'll confront the Robotnik-faced Scorpius to move on. Ride the freight cars in Lava Powerhouse, while encountering two kangaroos and avoiding the Pharaon robots. And that's pretty much it. We only get small glimpses at the next two levels before Sonic is ejected from the Veggie Fortress. I'm surprised the Chaos Emeralds did not appear here, given their prominence in the game. At this point in the comic, they are hard to find, but not impossible. Plus, they are all one color, though it's green in the comic instead of the game's blue. We're going to assume Sonic went back in and defeated Robotnik's Veggie Fortress off panel because we never see this place again. Plus, the story is canon. The two kangaroos that escaped would go on to participate in a number of trials in future issues. Speaking of continuity, Sonic brings up Casino Night from issue 1, which makes sense given the circumstances. Still, kinda lame the way they ended it with Robotnik supposedly winning. It subverted expectations, which I like, but the fact there was no follow-up brought it down for me. What could have softened the blow a bit at the end is adding the following caption. You could help Sonic defeat Robotnik by playing Sonic Spinball out now, or something to that effect. At least embrace the game tie-in nature of the story more. Well, it's time to give this thing a score, and this story gets a 4. The incompleteness drags it down significantly. Had it had the buy the game to continue caption that I suggested earlier, it would have been at best a 6. A shame too, because the Spinball adaptation could fill the entire issue easily. Then again, we wouldn't have a Christmas Carol to talk about. I'll say this now, this story is not canon. It's still set in the early days of the comic where continuity isn't as tight as it will be later, and Christmas is never brought up again after this, despite the fact that this is where they changed the name from Boomer to Rotor, and Snively from SatAM makes his comic debut. Taking the story on its own, it's an okay adaptation of A Christmas Carol. There are many versions of this tale, including the Muppets Christmas Carol and Mickey's Christmas Carol, that I feel are better. What makes this version different is Robotnik, the Scrooge, is deliberately decreasing the living surplus population and making them robotic slaves. He never changes his evil ways at the end, probably deliberate given his nature in the series, and the story didn't matter anyway since it was all Sonic's dream. which would explain why Sonic took on the role of the three spirits. That, or there was only one Sonic spirit that quickly changed costumes while Robotnik wasn't looking. Either one's possible. Most of the story being Sonic's dream may also explain the turkey bomb gag, giving Robotnik some much-deserved comeuppance. Though seeing the aftermath in the real world, does Sonic have dream powers of some kind? I shouldn't be thinking about this too much. This era of the comic was influenced by the adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and it can get goofy at times. Sonic's Christmas Carol does end on a nice note, Sonic wishing everyone happy holidays. And that's where I will leave all of you. Have a happy and safe holiday season, and I'll see you next time. Why is it that every time Sonic dreams of himself and Robotnik as children, they're hanging out at Uncle Chuck's farm?